In software engineering, we are discussing chapter number 29, which is the software configuration management. Version control. So in incremental type of model, agile, prototype, what you do is you create different versions. Even in the normal software development life cycles, there are different versions of software. And software, is a combination of source code, the documents, the installation kit, various things are there. For example, the version 1.1 is there. Then the next updation, next release can be 1.2. So there will be some major change. It will become 2.1, 2.11 like this. So these are different versions. Now how to control these versions? Under the software configuration management, so version control, it combines two things, procedures and tools, in order to manage these different versions which I showed you of configuration objects. So configuration objects can be source code, it can be SCI, software configuration items, it can be some baselines that are created during the software processes under software development life cycle. Baseline you can say, or you can say the lifeline. Okay. So even the user manual will have some version, even the source code will have some version, even the design will have some version. So version control system, it implements, or you can say it is directly integrated with 4 major functionalities or capabilities. Any kind of version control system which is under SCM. So what are these? The first one will be the database. We are calling it as a project database or repository. Now here we are going to put or store all the configuration objects interrelated or relevant. So this is the repository. Then we will have a version management. Now this SCM, software configuration management, should have the capability that it can store all version of the configuration object, or you can say it can enable any version to be constructed using differences from past version. For example, if some previous version is there, now you are trying to ingest or commit a new version, the version management should be able to differentiate between them. Then we have the make facility. Now you want to create a specific version, a new version. So this make facility should enable the software engineer or a team to collect all the relevant configuration objects, that is the interrelated or the corresponding configuration object, and it can create the specific version like the code, like the document which is given to the user, which has to be given to the user as the deliverable. So this we need to have a latest say version, and that make facility is responsible for doing exactly that. Then comes the issues tracking. Now bug tracking is all about every component object or the configuration object will be having certain changes, bugs, or whatever is to be done. Now this issue tracking should have that capability that enables the software team to record and track the status of all the problems or any kind of outstanding issues which are associated with each of these configuration objects. What has been done, what is still remaining, what is to be done later. This is the issues tracking. So version control system, as I said, will have 4 major capabilities which are like this. Now let me show here that this is the source code management. So this is how we control the source, also the revision control. So we have files and then we have certain numbers. Here you see the SVN, which I was calling previously also subversion SVN. Then the GIT. GitHub is the most prominent, and you can understand this SCM not better than this GitHub. So we have the servers repository. We first check out a working copy, then commit to the repository, then update the updates. You can also clone the repository, whatever is there, you can just clone, and then you can just push these with the changes to the repository, which is the database. You can also pull the updates and the commit when you have already done everything. Change control. Change control is also a very important part in software configuration management. So SCM is all about change control. It's all about changes. SCM is managing, locating, tracking, controlling the change. So the reality of this change control in today's modern software engineering context, this was very beautifully summed up by James Back. He said, and we know, everyone knows that change control is vital. So what we worry about is that even the small change can be a catastrophic to your business. But even a small change can actually save your business from any catastrophe or failure. So both way it is, two side sword, you can say. So the change control should be done in a proper way, which I am trying to suggest here. First is, if there is a need for change, for any modification, it can be normally coming from, it is coming from actually the change from the user when you actually deploy and give it to him. Now the change is coming from the user. Now developer will evaluate these change requests which has come from user. Now the developer is evaluating, so he is going to create a change report. This is the change, how it is done, from where it is pointing, what are the corresponding documents, and the change control authority now decides, depending upon this report which is created by developer, whether we need to do the change or not. If the outright management says no, we don't want to do this change, this is not accepted, so it will be change request is denied, it will be informed to the user. But if the things happen in a positive way, for example, see this one change, then second change, third change, so these are queued up now. So these are queued up and there will be ECO generated. What is this ECO? Engineering change order. Engineering change order. So ECO is generated like the work order we create while we go for service our car. So this work order or a ECO is generated. Now we assign individuals to the configuration object. You have to do this, you have to do this. Then we check out the configuration objects, that these are the items. Then we do the change. Once we do the change, say in C1, because these are queued up, then we review or you can say audit the change. Audit or review is very important. Then we check in the configuration items that have been changed. That is, you commit and you push it on in your CMS, and then we establish a baseline for testing. Because now the testing is important. We do all the quality assurance and testing activities. And now for the next release, next revision, we promote the changes in order to include it into the next release or next revision. Then we rebuild the appropriate version of the software that is because the new release has to be made. So we rebuild, and then we again review or audit the change to all the configuration items, because there is one item that is related to multiple items. So we need to review and audit the change to all configuration items. Then we include the changes in a new version. And finally, what do we do when we include changes in new version? We have to release it. So we distribute the new version. So this is the whole process of change control being followed. Software configuration audit in any company, if some dollars is involved, money is involved, so audit team will come, they will ask, okay, give me the bill, oh, this money has gone where, now show me. So they just want to see that whether things are going fine or not. Is there any discrepancy? Is there any anomaly? Is there any problem? This is audit. In software configuration management, audit does the same thing. And because in any kind of an organization, there will be some accounting. So this is the status accounting in SCM. And then you need to tell the people about what is happening or what has happened. This is the reporting. Okay, this is done. This is done for the SCIs, the software configuration items, the change request, and the software quality assurance plans. And as I said, the status accounting again for all these, along with, because you are doing the changes also that has to be reported. That is, engineering change orders will also be there. So this is the software configuration audit. So a software configuration audit, it is helping complementing the technical review, because it is trying to assess a configuration object for the characteristics, for the attributes that are generally not considered during review. I'm not saying it is not considered. Sometimes they are not considered, because technical review, other kind of reviews are entirely different. then the software configuration audit or this kind of review. So the audit asks and answers certain question, and these question has to be answered in SCA, that is software configuration audit. These questions need to be addressed. First question is, I'll talk about the ECOs first, because this is the engineering change order. Has the change specified in the ECO being made? Does the change happen? How have any additional modifications been incorporated? Along with this, additional modification is done or not? Has a technical review been conducted to assess the technical correctness? You have done the modification, whether it is correct or not. Has the software process been followed, and have software engineering standards been properly applied? Is it not bug fixing? You have applied everything what is being desired. Have the change been highlighted in the software configuration items? Have the change date and the change author being specified? Means you need to specify the date and who has done it also. And do the attributes of the configuration object reflect the change also? You have done the change. Has it been reflected? Has SCM procedures for noting the change, recording it and reporting has been followed properly the way it is being defined? And have all related SCIs been properly updated? The software configuration items have been properly updated. So this comes under a software configuration audit. It is just helping the technical review. Software configuration management for web engineering. Now, when we are talking about the website, the web applications and the mobile application, the SCM has to be updated. It has to be modulated to work with all these kind of development. So first thing comes here is, in all the things which I just told, it's content, because a typical website may have various things. It can have text, it can have graphics, applets, scripts, audio video files, forms, active page elements, the tables, the streaming data. So all these are the contents you will see. You might have seen the website. They are so dynamic today. So the challenge here is, because there is a humongous number of contents. So now we need to organize these in certain set of configuration objects, like text, a configuration object, graphics, configuration object, audio, configuration object, and then establish appropriate configuration control mechanism for these objects, which we are doing for the conventional one. And now we have people, because whenever the web app development is taking place, most of the time this is done in incremental manner, in an ad hoc manner. Any person involved in the web app or the mobile app can create content. He can do the work. He can create certain content which will be published in the website or the web app or the mobile app. So scalability is important, because have you thought about Facebook? Have you thought about YouTube? When FB came, how many users were there? When YouTube came, how many users are there? Now worldwide, Facebook, everyone has a Facebook account, everyone is using YouTube. So as this size and complexity grows and becomes, the smaller changes, they can have very far-reaching global and unintended effects that can be problematic for the business, for the software team also. Therefore, there has to be a configuration control mechanism properly made, managed, should be directly proportional to the scalability, application scale. Now, there are certain questions also which are involved. Who owns this web app? Who assumes the responsibility? Who will take the responsibility? Whatever you are putting the information on your website, whether it is accurate, whether it is correct or not. Who is going to verify it? Who assures the quality control process that have been properly followed? Because you are publishing something to the website which is going all across your users. Who is responsible for making these changes? Who assumes the cost of change? This comes here. So content management system, as I said, it's a software now. It's a cloud-based now. It is all in a very mature state. So we are discussing this content management. It is already being done. We are just knowing the intricacies of that. So any kind of content management system should have certain subsystems. There will be a collection subsystem. There will be a management system. There will be a publishing subsystem. So what are these which every CMS should have? The collection subsystem is all about all actions required to create or to acquire content, and the functions that are necessary for what? to convert the content, because content are different, into a form that can be easily represented by the markup language, because website or web page or these content showing will have only on the background HTML or XML. So we need to organize content into packets that can be displayed very efficiently and effectively on the client side as well. So this collection subsystem is all about converting and displaying on the client side. The management subsystem. So this implements a repository. We are talking about a database, to be very frank here, that has certain elements. This database, first is the content database, that is the information structure that has been established to store all the content objects. For example, audio is there, so this can be one kind of content. Then the database capabilities, that is the different categories of objects we can store, retrieve these, manage the file structure that has been established for the content. We are able to do this also. Then the configuration management system, because here we need the functional element and there has to be some workflow that support the content object identification, the version control, the change management, the change auditing and the reporting. This was already there in the conventional way of doing it. So content management, as I said, there are three subsystems. Two we have discussed. This is the publishing subsystem. Now this takes out or extract from the database or the repository, converts it into a form which is properly amenable or conducive to the publication, and formats it so that it can be transmitted to the actual people, that is the client side browser. Publishing system accomplish these tasks using, there are certain templates which I am showing you here on this. Each template is just a function that builds a publication using these one of these three different components. It can be the static elements like the text, graphic, media, scripts. They don't require that much of processing. They are transmitted directly to the client side. Then we have the publication services. These are functions where we need to call specific retrieval and formatting services for certain personalized content, that is performing data conversion and building the appropriate navigation links. This is for the publication services. Now we have something which is extra, which is external services. So this provide access to external corporate information infrastructure such as the enterprise data or the backroom applications. Okay. Now change management for web apps. The way we were changing or doing the change in the conventional type of software processes or the SDLCs, we need the change management for web application, the websites and the mobile apps also. So in order to implement the effective change management within this terminology code and Go philosophy, which is already we are following in web app development, the conventional change control process has to change. It needs to be modified. So how do we do this? We can divide it into certain categories, certain classes. So this is how we employ the change management for web apps. Let us see one by one. There are different way it can be done. So the class 1, you can categorize these changes into certain classes, 4 classes namely. The first one, second one, third one and fourth one. So what are these classes? Class 1 is when a content or a function change that corrects an error or enhances local content or functionality. That is, it is not related to anyone. There is a simple content you need to change or correct. This is of class 1 kind of change. Now when you do this, see, you need to classify the requested change. So we are classifying into the change 1. When it is done, you just come here, you don't do anything. Okay, just check out the object to be changed and you do the make changes in design, construct, etc. Now coming to the change class 2. Class 2 here, we are trying to change or modify the content and function that has impact on other content objects or function objects. So there are certain objects which are related to this object. So when we do this, then we have to do a certain different action. So what we do here is the class 2 change, we have to acquire related objects and assess impact of change. That changing of this content, how it is going to affect the other different related objects. So changes required in related objects, we can do that, or the normal flow we'll go to the checkout objects later. This is the class 2. So now coming to the class 3 change. Now this class 3 change is all about content and function change that has a broad impact on the web app. That is, you are extending the functionality, you are doing certain significant enhancement, or you are reducing the content, or you are even changing the navigation scenario. Major required changes in the navigation is required. So here, class 3, you need to develop a very brief written description of the change, and you need to transmit or give it or distribute it to all the team members. Please remember, team members for review. So this is okay, you go ahead, or if it is going to further evaluation, we'll go for that. This is the class 3 kind of change. 3 changes we have seen. Now the class 4 changes. Class 4 changes is even more significant. That is, you are doing a major design change. You are changing the interface. You are changing the whole navigation approach. Now these changes will clearly be notified or noticed or observed by the user across the globe. So now you need to be very sure what you're doing. So you cannot do by yourself. You have to involve the stakeholders. So you have to develop brief written description of the change. You have to distribute it to all the stakeholders for you, of course the team also. And then if it is okay, we go ahead. Otherwise, it has to be further evaluated. Once this is done, there is a common path. We check out the objects to be changed. We make changes either in design, construct, or test. Then again test it and check the objects that were changed. That is the testing again part. And finally, we publish it on the web app. Okay, this is all about this discussion. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.